Tonight's true scary story is so terrifying that the submitter actually needed therapy afterwards to recover from these events. But before we get started, if you do get through the story and you do like it, if you could just hit that like button for me, it would mean so much to me because I do work hard on these videos, and if you like it and only if you appreciate it, I would appreciate it if you hit the like button. Thank you so much. So get comfy, sit back and relax, and get ready for a terrifying story. Throughout Kaylin's entire life, she's always been able to see and feel the presence of other spirits. It started off with small things. Harmless things. For example, when she was 2 or 3 years old, they lived in Vassar, Michigan in a trailer. She had just finished potty training, so she went and told her mom that she needed to use the bathroom. When she entered the bathroom, she saw a little girl in the window, but the window was at least 6 feet off the ground from the outside. She got scared and ran back to tell her mom. Her mom picked her up, took her to the bathroom, and told her to say, "Hello, I need to use the bathroom. Can you please go away?" After that, she disappeared, but later she did come back, and she has many memories of playing tag with her outside. One day, her and the little girl were in Kaylin's extra bedroom at her house, and the little girl starts panicking, and Kaylin didn't understand why. She kept saying, "He's coming. We have to be quiet. He's coming." Over and over again, and then the bedroom door slammed shut. Well, Kaylin's mother heard that door slam shut, and so she came running into that room and immediately said, "No, you leave my house now and never return." And that was the last time she ever saw that little girl. When she was roughly 4, she moved to Alaska, and for the first 2 or 3 years, nothing out of the ordinary happened. But then she started having nightmares. One she remembers most vividly was her standing on the porch of the house that she grew up in. But everything was muted colors. She was standing there on the porch when she looked across the lawn, and she saw a man standing across the lawn. She couldn't see his face, but she could tell he was not a good man. Next to him, a girl, roughly 7, with 2 braids and a nightgown. She would stare at Kaylin for what felt like forever, and out of nowhere, she would almost whisper, and she would say either, "Help me," or "Run!" This went on for months. Then she was showering one day, and she felt like she was being watched, almost hunted. She finished putting soap in her hair, she rinsed it, she opened her eyes, and she saw a figure on the other side of the shower curtain. She peeked her head out of the curtain thinking it was her dad and that he needed something. Only it wasn't her dad. It was a shadow figure. He was over 6 feet tall and wore a trench coat and a fedora. He was pitch black, including the hat and the cloak, except for he had these green triangles all over him. They almost floated about his figure, and they were all different sizes and shades of green, but they glowed like a neon sign. She came to call him the Bad Man. That's when everything bad started. Some nights, she would wake up feeling like she was being choked. The nights that it didn't happen were almost worse. She would wake up to go to the bathroom almost 2 or 3 times a night. Every night, she would swing her legs over the bed to sit up to wake up more. Something would grab her ankle. At first, it was just a feeling. No pain, no marks. But then after a few months, it began to squeeze her ankle. A little soft at first, but then harder and harder, till one night it grabbed her ankle so hard it left its claw marks inside of her skin, making her bleed, leaving scars. These scars only faded a few years ago. She started to get so scared that instead of swinging her legs over her bed, she started jumping out of her bed, like across her room, so that she wouldn't be grabbed. A few weeks later, she was leaving the bathroom in the middle of the night when she looked into the kitchen, and she saw all the kitchen cabinets and the fridge door slam and open shut over and over again by themselves. Then she felt this burning sensation on her right shoulder blade, and it kept getting worse and worse. So she flipped on the bathroom light to look at her shoulder blade. That's when she saw a handprint on her shoulder. The palm, the size of an average man's palm. But the fingers, they were way too long, and they came to a fine point. She got scared, and she woke up her mom to have her look at it. At first, she didn't want to believe that a spirit had attacked her daughter, so she woke up her dad. She woke up her dad out of a dead sleep. Now, after her dad realized what was going on, he put his hand on the handprint on her shoulder, and sure enough, the palm matched, but the fingers were 2 or 3 inches longer than his. The next day, she saw the Bad Man again, but this time, it was like her dream. She had walked out to her porch, when sure enough, she saw him across the yard, and that girl was sitting a few feet in front of him. The little girl lifted her head and stared at Kaylin, and Kaylin looked at her and said, "Tell me about you. Let me help." The bad man smiled and left her with Kaylin. Kaylin learned that this little girl was bound to this bad man. She doesn't really have many clear memories of Izzy because she only saw her that day after the bad man attacked her. He would hit her back, trip her and choke her, and grab her ankles, and he would just hold on to them. It only happened at night when everybody else was asleep. Then her parents got a divorce, and when she was with her dad, she would feel the bad man's presence, but he wouldn't hurt her. When she was at her mom's, though, it was like he was stronger. She would hear him laugh at random times. She felt like she was being followed throughout the house, and at night, she couldn't leave her bed without being grabbed, smacked, or getting tugged backwards. She tried prayers, she tried Wiccan rituals of protection, and at her most desperate, she pleaded with the bad man himself to leave her be, let her go, anything to make it stop, but it didn't. She blocked out a lot of what happened after that because she hoped that if she pretended like this wasn't happening, it would make the bad man go away. And he did for a few months, but when he came back, it was everything at once. She would hear deep, dark chuckling and get attacked almost every night. That's when she gave up. She figured that whoever this thing was, or whoever it used to be, would just haunt her for her entire life. At one point, years had passed from the beginning of her being attacked by this thing. One night, her mom woke her and her sister up at midnight and asked if they wanted to go to Witter, just because. Her mom's boyfriend of a few years was already down there, and they wanted to join. So Kaylin, her sister, and her fiance at the time packed a bag and loaded into the car. When they got there, they saw this old abandoned building called Bunkner Building. And Kaylin immediately knew that she had to go inside with her and her sister because they loved all things creepy and haunted. It was on the second night that they were able to sneak away as a group and go to Bunkner Building. They had to squeeze through a fence and a rock wall to get in. She barely fit through it. Once they were inside the building, though, she got this awful feeling and immediately began to get nauseous. But she decided to ignore it and they kept going. They went through a doorway through the back. There was a small entry hallway before it opened up to a ground floor. It was dark and dank inside, and Kaylin felt as though they were being watched by an entire crowd. They continued towards the staircase. The one that led to the upper floors wasn't bad. She thought about going up until she heard a little girl say, "Come play with me. Come on. It'll be fun." That gave her an awful feeling, so she turned to go towards the staircase that led to the lower floors. When she got to the end of the hallway, that's when she saw the bad man at the other end. She immediately joined her sister and her fiance at the time by the staircase that led downstairs. And that's when she heard a purely demonic laugh and something that sounded like, "Come closer." But she couldn't tell if that's exactly what it said. She started to feel like she was going to throw up, and she told her sister and her fiance that they needed to leave. They didn't understand her urgency to leave, so they did end up staying for a few more minutes. That's when her sister felt something grab her, and it scared her enough for them to leave the building immediately. But they didn't leave the property right away. They continued to slowly walk around outside. They were walking around outside of the building, talking about what they experienced and looking at the upper floors, just to see if they could see anything up there. Her fiance at the time didn't believe in anything spiritual or anything that they had just experienced. So he thought that he'd prove them wrong by throwing a good-sized rock up at a broken window up by the second to top floor. They heard it skip across the concrete floor, across a pile of glass shards, and they just stood there still. They were all just waiting there, seeing if something would happen. And then after a couple minutes, her sister's fiance says, "See, I told you nothing would happen. None of this stuff is real." Just as he said that, that rock came hurtling outside the window directly towards him. Luckily, he had taken a step towards her sister, so the rock didn't hit him. They went back to the inn, and they didn't speak about what just happened. That night, she was getting ready for bed. She looked over at the building in a window from the second to top floor, and she saw a woman in all white waving. That day was the last day that she ever felt the presence of the bad man. She believes that he got trapped in that building by something far more evil and powerful than he was. Or maybe he chose to stay because he knew it would be an easy spot to target victims. So what do you guys think of the story? First of all, I definitely think Kaylin has a gift. And I have said this before, but I think that when you have a gift and you don't know how to use it, you are far more likely to get an attachment of something bad because you don't know what you're doing and you have this powerful gift to see, hear, feel, all of that with the other realms, you know? So I just think that she was far more susceptible to it, and that's why this happened to her. And I really am so sorry, Kaylin, that you had to go through therapy because of this. I can see why you would have to go through therapy because of this, but I hope that me making this video will help you heal in some way, because so many people are gonna believe you, and you're gonna see comments of support and love, I promise you, because I have the best community ever on YouTube. So I genuinely hope that you are feeling better. I am so sorry that this happened to you, and I definitely think you have a gift, and maybe, in my opinion, you should seek out a way to kind of channel that gift. I know how this feels, not to the extent that you experienced, but I've had little experiences throughout my life. I shouldn't say little because they were big, but they happened for short periods of time that absolutely traumatized me. So I know how that feels, and I can't imagine going through it for an extended period of time. So I'm so sorry that you went through that. But Kaylin would definitely like to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. As always, please be respectful. I don't even think I have to say that anymore because you guys are all respectful all the time, and I appreciate you guys and love you so much. I would also like to know what you think the Batman was. Do you think it was a demon? Do you think it was an evil spirit? Like what type of entity do you think this was? What type of entity holds the power to bound another spirit to them, especially a child? Like, I want to know how that happens or why that is allowed to happen. That always confuses me. So if any thoughts on that, I would love to hear them in the comments. And with all of that being said, I'm now going to do my favorite part, which is the shout outs. My first shout out is going to Tuniest Aniva 6617. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You are so sweet. You said that you binge watched all my episodes and that you just watch them all the time, and I love that so much. You have no idea what that means to me. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for telling me that. I love hearing that more than you could possibly understand. I am so humbled by the fact that you guys like my content. Even if it is just like a few of you, I don't care. I feel so honored. So thank you so much for being a part of my little community, and thank you so much for liking my content. It means everything to me, and I love you. My next shout out is going to Sabrina Young 3822. Girl, I'm not sure if I've given you a shout out before. I think I may have, but I'm not positive. But just in case, I'm giving you a shout out. You left such a cute comment. Thank you so much for your kind words, and thank you for the suggestion to go look at Mr. Balin's video. I really, or Ballin, it's Mr. Ballin. I keep saying Balin. I need to say his name right. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I'm gonna look at it tonight after I'm done working, but I'm so excited. And also what you said about me reminding you of like old radio stations and podcasts and like the olden days when you used to listen to all of those. I so much appreciate that. I do plan on starting a podcast fairly soon, so hopefully that does well because it's super expensive to set up. But I will be starting that, and I just thank you so much for being a part of my little community and for being kind and for commenting and pushing my videos out. It means everything to me, so thank you so much. I love you. And with that being said, I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? I need you to keep sending me your scary stories and give me your recommendations for things that you want me to cover. I need you to have a safe night, and what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.